Our next speaker is going to talk about how a hybrid system of renewables, long duration storage and green fuels can ensure 24/7 supply of clean energy. Rick McElhinney is the CEO of Sunshine Hydro, which is a leader in advanced renewable energy systems. He has over 30 years of experience in technology, infrastructure and energy. He's driving Sunshine Hydro's Superhybrid projects, integrating renewables, long duration storage and green hydrogen. Sunshine Hydro is pioneering 24/7 carbon-free energy solutions and enabling decarbonization across industry and transport. Rick is a passionate advocate for the clean energy transition, investment and scalability, and he brings a strategic execution mindset to accelerate Australia's transition to a net zero economy through commercially viable, high-impact green energy infrastructure. Please welcome Rick McElhinney on stage to deliver his presentation.
Afternoon, everybody. Thank you, Axel. I'm glad you got my name right. Before I start, I just want to make sure we cover the very basics. What we're talking about, or what I'm going to be talking about, is long duration energy storage in particular. And our engineers, when we started this company back in 2016, we wanted to decarbonise the planet. That was the goal, very simple goal. And we knew that we needed to be able to store the energy. And the best storage, or the cheapest and most effective storage, was pumped hydro, being this forever asset that eventually gets paid off, and serves a great purpose for everybody. So typically we're looking at anywhere 12 to 18 to 24 hours of storage. And a lot of the storage we also talk about to stabilise the grid is battery storage, which is 2 to 4, up to 6 hours of storage. And I'm not really talking about that. There's a big difference between the two. We're looking at solving the problem of the blackouts in the future when everything goes wrong. So we're trying to serve that purpose. We're not serving the daily shift where we're just storing during the day and delivering that power in the evening. And to do that, you need a little bit more storage. And pumped hydro is, a great solution, but there are other solutions too. Compressed gas, we just heard about liquid air. There are quite a few interesting storage technologies that can deliver a much longer storage capacity. So we're not sold on hydro, we know it works. That's the projects that we happen to be working on at the moment, and we're happy to keep working with hydro. But when you see me talk about long duration energy storage, it's not limited to pumped hydro. It's whatever the market delivers to us over time. So, thank you. Oh, there you go. Maybe. Okay, so today, what I want to do is talk about the next step in grid scale storage. It's not the last step. We really need to reinvent storage to make it work effectively. So we're talking about the next step. The next step takes storage from being undervalued to being bankable. These big essential projects, they must be successfully delivered. And we're talking about this ability to make these projects financially viable, get the investors excited about it. It decarbonises the industry and powers a new wave of AI data centres, which is also something that's changing within our industry. And Australia has a huge advantage in attracting these data centres, and it's already happening. We're seeing it happening as we go through the next couple of years. And these new data centres, they need cost-effective, reliable green energy to prosper. So where are we today? Pumped hydro and large batteries or any storage, long duration storage, they're undervalued in the current system. And they're assets that are only paid between 2 and 4 hours a day. So if it's a small battery, it's perfect. You can justify it, you can pay it off in that 2 or 4 hours, it works really well. But for pumped hydro or the long duration energy storage, you need more than that. And it serves a greater purpose. Financing these big merchant exposed projects is really difficult. And that's why long duration energy storage projects stall. The economics simply don't add up and investors hesitate. Some say that nuclear is the answer, but nuclear is slow, it's costly, and it needs storage, it still needs storage. And it may well be the next step for the US or for Europe, but it's very difficult for me to see how it's the next step for Australia at all. It's a little bit too expensive. So many are coming to realise that the next step revolves around the superhybrid. And the superhybrid technology has been developed over the last 8 years to solve a practical problem. How do we deliver 24/7 clean energy to industry at the lowest possible cost? And the superhybrid is an ecosystem that brings together renewables, long duration energy storage, and smart optimisation. It reliably matches energy supply to the industrial demand every hour of every day. And when these projects are delivered as public-private partnerships, they can also make smart use of sovereign credit wraps, simple government-backed guarantees that lower the cost of capital and unlock faster investment. The work we're doing with one major production facility to provide for their green energy needs provides a clear example of how this approach works in practice. So this is a dashboard of one superhybrid running live, and it shows it operating at 4:10 yesterday afternoon. It's delivering 950 megawatts of reliable 24/7 carbon-free energy to the data centre that you can see in the top left corner of the screen. And every 5 minutes, the system's making decisions on where to best deliver these electrons that come in. So as they're delivered from the wind and solar projects, they can be used to pump water to the upper reservoir, to charge the battery, to produce green fuels, or to deliver to the data centre, or to sell back into the grid. So this optionality maximises the ability to use every electron as effectively as possible. So the technology behind this focuses on making sure that that data centre gets its 950 megawatts 5 years into the future. When everything goes wrong, when the worst scenarios occur, how do we deliver that power? So we're not looking at a daily cycle, we're looking at the future problems and being able to provide that to a system that needs 24/7 without doubt. And it does it in a fun kind of way. Things like if the week ahead is looking like it's very windy, there's a problem, because if it's going to be very windy and there's low demand, then the wind's curtailed and we waste that energy. But because we can take these electrons and decide what to do with them based on what's happening in the future, we can not only make sure we've got the energy, we want the reservoir to be full, we want the battery to be full, we want to be able to turn off the electrolyser so that we've got maximum power at all times. But we also need to look at when wind is high in the week to come, that we can also value the empty space in the upper reservoir, value the empty space in the battery, and say, let's lower it. Let's optimise it properly. We need that reservoir because of all the wind that's coming in next week, we need to lower it. So we need to lower the reservoir so that wind can be utilised. And what that does is it protects the other assets. The wind is stopped from being curtailed, same with the solar. And so the opportunity is to make use of every electron throughout. So this diagram shows the 950 megawatts. The green line across the centre of the screen there is showing that energy being delivered to the data centre. It's 24/7 carbon-free energy, as reliable as nuclear power, but delivered at half the cost. So I want to mention at this point that Chris Baker, the founder of Sunshine Hydro, he's speaking, I don't know which room, I think it's this stage, at the same time tomorrow. And he's going to go a lot further into the function of how the superhybrid actually works. So please, if you're interested in digging a little bit deeper, put that down as a must-see tomorrow. On the diagram, you'll also see the spaghetti diagram, we call it. They're all the wind farms producing the wind and providing the wind. And at the upper portion of the screen, the darker green is the electrolyser kicking in. And the electrolyser is there to produce green fuels, so we've got another contractable revenue, but it's also there to soak up the wind. It's an extra sponge, it's an extra storage mechanism. And the beauty of it is we can turn it off. We actually value that we can turn it off. So it's a little bit unusual the way it works, but that's what ecosystems do. They work hand in hand. So the superhybrid model is the result of over 8 years of development, I mentioned earlier, and it's been a massive effort to deliver this kind of change to industry. The US Department of Energy has contracted one of the world's leading laboratories in energy innovation to implement and study the superhybrid model in the California electricity market. They're doing that right now. Their mission: can the superhybrid deliver reliable, cost-effective energy for the AI data centers that they know will need the power? And this laboratory is validating what we're doing on a global scale for the first time. So for me, this is a major milestone. I can't tell you how proud I am of the team members at Sunshine Hydro. Some of the best engineers I've seen, the most amazing people to work with, and it's been a true privilege to support them. So for a superhybrid, revenues include both merchant exposed and long-term contractable revenues. The white area is all merchant exposed, and the area in black on the pie chart is contractable. So a typical pumped hydro project gains its revenues from only the arbitrage. So you see in the top of the screen there's a blue area. That's the arbitrage that a normal pumped hydro would generate as far as revenue goes. And there's a little bit of coverage with grid services that the pumped hydro station can generate revenue from as well. But the remainder of the chart is all about the superhybrid, the ecosystem that we developed. And the superhybrid generates many times more revenue than a typical pumped hydro station. So it's a big increase. And most of this revenue, as you can see, is long-term contractable revenue. So that's what makes this ecosystem that we call a superhybrid bankable. So let's summarise what makes a superhybrid different. Integration of wind, solar, batteries, long-duration storage, plus green fuels. Not 2 to 4 hours of uncertain revenue, but 24 hours every day of contracted bankable income. Another way to look at the advantage of the superhybrid is to see the leverage it provides. So on the left in this diagram is the Jandori Superhybrid project that we've got in Gladstone. And this superhybrid will generate its revenue from 3 times the amount of energy that Snowy 2 will. It's not as big a project. It's doing it with maybe 20% of the cost of Snowy. Not that Snowy is a good one to compare with, because it has kind of run over a bit. But through this simple comparison, it's easy to understand the bankability of the superhybrid model. So why it matters? For industry, smelters and heavy loads can run clean and stay competitive. For the digital economy, superhybrids are the only platform able to economically power supersized AI data centres around the clock. And for the nation, superhybrids unlock stalled renewables, accelerate deployment, and create and ultimately deliver a clean fuels export industry. So when we talk about grid-scale storage, we can't look backwards. The next step is not nuclear. The next step is not waiting. The next step is here. It's being validated for the first time globally in California by the US Department of Energy. It delivers reliable 24/7 carbon-free energy. It's bankable, it's scalable, and it's called a superhybrid. And this has an immediate impact. A lot of capital is available to support bankable projects. The superhybrid unlocks this capital. It accelerates the energy transition, bringing forward projects for earlier delivery. It creates wealth in our regional communities through jobs and growth. And it positions Australia as a clean energy technology leader. So we'd like to see every large hydro or battery project taking full advantage of the superhybrid model. And our team's busy modelling systems in Australia and now overseas, and we're seeing some remarkable results come from these partnerships. And don't forget, I mentioned that Chris Baker will be discussing the superhybrid model at tomorrow's session, and for those who are interested, please keep that in mind. And please feel free to approach me at any time. Give me a call, my number's up there and my email's up there. Thank you, everybody.
It's no. Deep round. Well done. Lovely meeting you.
Right, thank you, Rick. Our next presentation